feel like Kobe in the fourth quarter.
This is the More NBA podcast, and we are brought to you by Prize Picks, coming at you Thursday evening. It's December 4th, and we are here again at Smoothie King Arena in New Orleans. I got Wolves beat writer Chris Hine here with me for, again, just some immediate takeaways from the Wolves win over the Pelicans tonight. This one was 125-116 Wolves. I like where we started the last podcast, just with the kind of the vibe in the locker room.
Yeah.
I think we should do that again because it was very different tonight than it was 2 days ago. Chris, what was different?
Much happier tonight. Everybody a little happier. Much more jubilant.
That's what football does. Football was on.
Everybody was watching the Lions Cowboys game.
They were.
Julius Randle, big Cowboys fan, watching it on his phone, literally as we were talking to him.
Literally
doing post game interviews. Mike Conley, as big of fantasy football junkie as we are,
yes,
watching the game on his phone, seeing who's scoring the touchdowns.
I think we talked to Mike about fantasy football more than we talk about basketball.
It's all the time. I don't know who enjoys it more, us or him, because I think he really enjoys it. Yeah,
he was before the game started. Chris and I were in the locker room, and Mike was talking about how he was looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah,
and he's like, I'm already excited for it. I'm already excited for Sunday and Red Zone.
Professional athletes, they're just like us.
Well, he's actually in our age bubble.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
rest of the guys, not so much. But yes, it was a much more jubilant vibe in there. And I think this team kind of needed that. I'm not necessarily sure the performance justified it, but this is in a kind of funk, right?
But, having covered the league for 8 years, and I thought their performance on Tuesday deserved criticism, and I wrote as much. For as brilliant as Ant was, and we talked a lot about Ant, when I wrote an article for the paper, I chose not to focus on Ant that particular night, but I chose to focus on lack of focus, lack of defense, consistency, all those things that to me are just the signs that this team doesn't quite have it to really be a contender just yet. But I also recognize that it's December. It's the course of an 82-game season.
Right.
And on a night like tonight, I'm not going to say I'm going to let it slide, right? But you just won your fourth game in a row. They're headed home, after spending basically the whole week here. And I think there's just a sense of, we won a game. It wasn't perfect. Some good moments. They played better than they did on Tuesday, and they're going home with a win. And that's just what happens in the course of NBA season. Naz Reid, I thought, did a good job of acknowledging kind of the good with the bad when he said, basically, we're not where we need to be right now. We know that. We'll take the wins. The wins are good, but we're not the best version of ourselves right now. We know we have to do better. But at the same time, a win is a win. Enjoy it for tonight and come back on Saturday.
Yeah, to further the giving the pass for what was definitely a sloppy game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to give the pass for it being sloppy, I would just note how the Pelicans played the game, like what their strategy was in this game. I mean, we talked a lot after the last game about how in the second half, the Pelicans were doubling it as soon as he crossed half court. They did that the very first possession of this game, and that was their strategy, was to junk up the game in taking Ant away, which they actually did effectively. His foul trouble also contributed to that, but it wasn't just the doubles on Ant. It was also pretty close to 48 minutes of full court pressure.
Yep,
which just leads to this. Yeah, it leads to more of an open gym type setting, regardless of how sharp you're playing, because when they're pressing every single possession, what's going to happen like 90% of the time is they're going to get a steal, or something's going to happen from the press, or it's going to lead to a
easy look,
easy look. I mean, honestly, how many just wide open because they were pressing?
A ton.
The Wolves shot 92 total shots. I would say like 25 to 30 were like just
tough contests, or
no. We're not tough.
Or just completely wide open.
3 shots of just there wasn't even 10 guys on that side of the floor. So just for people who are listening, if you didn't watch this game, it was the junkiest of games in the sense of from a strategy,
especially in the fourth quarter. Like that went double for the fourth quarter as well. And I mean, I thought they committed 20 turnovers. The Wolves did. Not great, but yeah, when they weren't turning the ball over, the quality of the looks was, I think, unlike any game they've had all season, especially in that fourth quarter. And yeah, if they just got the ball past half court, it's like, well, they're going to score. That was essentially the fourth quarter. Can you get the ball past half court? You're going to score.
Right. Or get a wide open three that they missed. It was easy bucket or Naz Reid / Dante DiVincenzo wide open three.
Yeah.
You know, which you're going to take that, you know, as many times.
Yeah. 17-2 to open the quarter. And, you know, they found a little something with that zone defense, with that unit that closed the Spurs game. Largely that unit. No Mike Conley mixing in this time. It was just straight 5 guys: Dante, Julius, Naz, Jaden, Ant, to play all 12 minutes of the fourth quarter to take them home. And, you know, if there's one larger takeaway for me from this game, it might be, is this becoming a thing?
Yeah.
You know, is that unit plus the zone defense a thing now? And it might be becoming a thing.
It seems to be, and I think when we talked to Finch post game, there was, it felt less like this is just something we did in this game, which is kind of when you mentioned the San Antonio game. The first time they did it, it was like, yeah, we went to the zone and it worked. It kind of junked up the Spurs defense. This was more so him talking about it as something they can go to more frequently. And maybe even if it isn't the zone, I think we could put that in like one bucket. I think what is definitely a thing is that unit.
Yes.
And just the Reed, Randle, McDaniels, DiVincenzo, and Edwards / Conley. That's been that group. That seems to be Finch's preferred non-Rudy lineup, and his belief in that group has clearly grown. And whether it's zone or not, I think what is making it work is Jaden's presence in the middle of the floor, kind of at the rim, but just really at the middle of the floor, because sometimes he's all the way up there, but he starts in the middle, and that's what the non-Rudy minutes miss, is any sort of presence in the
sort of rim protection,
He's at least in there now. When Jaden isn't on the floor and Rudy isn't on the floor, like I refer to it as the highway to the rim. You know, it is like a team, if they make a pass, get a little shift, and they can just go to the basket and score with ease. We've seen that all season. But with Jaden's presence in there, I think that's the plan.
Well, early in the season, everybody made a lot, and deservedly so, of the offensive numbers and the defensive numbers of the Julius Naz front court minutes, and just how great they were offensively, but just how terrible they were defensively. It's like, if you could establish some sort of floor with that group defensively, the way that they play offense, and just everybody's a threat in that lineup.
Yes.
There's nobody's helping off of anybody in that lineup right now, especially with the way Jaden has been scoring this year. You establish some sort of floor with that unit, and you get what's happened to these last 3 games. I feel like it's just the ability to string together a couple good minutes, and tonight it was 12, but a couple good minutes of defense with that unit, and you have a weapon in that unit. And it depends on the matchups. It depends, you know, there's a lot that goes into it, obviously, especially in a playoff series. But yeah, finding some sort of rhythm, and we talked about it with Jalen Clark maybe entering these lineups too. But if those 5 guys can find a defensive floor,
I like that term.
That makes that unit really viable in the future.
I've been referring to the zone as like a Band-Aid, you know. And sometimes you need a Band-Aid. Like Band-Aids are functional. But maybe the zone is the floor of that group. You know what I'm
saying?
Yeah. Right? Like they have that zone there, so it can't just crater to, I mean, I don't even remember. I mean, that the first like 10 games, the non-Rudy defense was like 138.
But let's be realistic here. The Pelicans shot 28% from 3-point range.
Sure.
They're not a good 3-point shooting team. The personnel that they had on the floor, there will be other teams that they face. The Spurs did not shoot well from 3-point range in that game. you get a team that's going to shoot well from 3-point range, and that zone becomes problematic.
Right.
Potentially.
And that's what I'm saying.
So,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's like a floor, but that's not that good. Like that's not
Yeah.
like, but it's not what the mess that it
Mhm.
was in the non-Rudy minutes at the beginning of the season. Maybe that's that new non-Rudy identity, is they have something there. Plus, it's getting better. It's getting better overall. You know, when Rudy is off the floor. I also think, yeah, a big part of this, when we talk about the non-Rudy minutes, we focus so much on the defense. But I'm glad you brought up the offensive players, because all five are a threat,
Mhm.
and that group is going to have potent numbers all year. That isn't like opponent specific. That group can score against anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I don't. Whenever that group's out there, I very rarely feel like, oh, this offense got stagnant. You know,
Mhm.
and I think it would probably require like Oklahoma City or near Oklahoma City level defensive team to slow that down, because Nasri, Julius Randle, Jaden McDaniels, Dante DiVincenzo, and Anthony Edwards.
Double ant at your own risk with that
Right.
lineup on the floor, because you can't leave
Mhm.
Nas the way you can leave Rudy.
And
Yeah, and he'll make
not at
it
all.
pay, and right, yeah. And so that's the weapon. That's the weaponization of that
Mhm.
unit. And we saw it in the Lakers series, more or less, if I'm not mistaken, that was kind of the same five that won game 3 and 4, if I'm not if
I mean,
memory
certainly it was less Rudy
Yeah.
in games.
Yeah.
Those are like his 23, 25-minute games,
Yeah.
something like that.
The home games.
Yeah, and they
Mhm.
that was leaning into offense, I
Mhm.
thought, in the Lakers series. And up until the San Antonio game, I always thought of the Reed Randle minutes as just leaning into offense. The shift now is, well, the San Antonio game shift was, he said he took Rudy off because for defensive purposes, because he wanted to have a different group out there. Rudy wasn't presenting any resistance.
Mhm.
So I think that would be the difference in the Lakers series, is it doesn't only feel like an offensive thing. It has some defensive teeth to it because of the presence of Jaden.
And this is utilizing Jaden in a way we've heard them for 2+ seasons now. Finch and others talk about, well, Jaden's a really good rim protector too. Like, he's not just a really good perimeter defender. And this seems to be the best utilization of Jaden McDaniels' rim protector that they've come up with in Jaden's career so far. So it's instead of
he's
having
consistently in the same spot. You know, like it's very hard to get Jaden in a rim protector position in man-to-man, because he's almost always going to be guarding the ball on the perimeter. Sometimes maybe he'll be on an off-ball guy, but then he's often guarding the guy like in the corner. That's not a rim protector position.
He'll be guarding somebody that he can't really leave.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like if he's guarding the second best player on the floor, then he can't really leave, kind of sag off the corner to go protect the rim.
Right. Kind of like, we never see Jaden guard the worst player, right? Obviously, we never would, and that makes sense. But sometimes guarding the worst player allows you to be a defensive weapon, right? You know, you could kind of sag off your guy, you can help. You know, that was like Kobe. That's how the Lakers always used Kobe, right? And I think the zone is the first time that allows him to do some of that, right? Rather than needing to be either conscientious of ball containment or conscientious of a shooter that he's guarding on the perimeter. He kind of gets to freelance a little bit more, and at his size, it's a huge weapon.
And he talked about it a little bit tonight, where he's like, well, I did this in college. I have a little bit of he has a little bit of muscle memory when it comes to that. He played for Mike
Washington,
Hopkins, the descendant of the Jim Boeheim Syracuse zone. You know, so he's got a little that of in his basketball DNA, so to speak.
Forgot about that before tonight.
He reminded us of that. So to me, this is the most interesting development of the last week. Is what this lineup could be potentially. I still think I'm pumping the brakes against the right team
for sure.
That isn't a knockdown 3-point shooting team potentially, or if you're just trying to make a team beat you from outside, this might be the way to do it.
Yep.
That come the future, we'll see.
Let's grab a quick break, and then I do want to talk about Julius Randle. Had a really big game. Today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks, as I mentioned off the top. And we did get the Julius Randle pick right this morning. I said more than 21.5 points in this one, and Julius finished. What did he finish with? 28. It's always fun to take, I think, a peek at like the Wolves, what the Wolves numbers are at in a game, and if you kind of check it consistently, you're like, ooh, Ants is 3-4 more points than it normally is, rebounds, assists, whatever it might be. You could check those out again on Saturday when the Wolves play the Clippers, but because those numbers are not yet posted, let's do some Sunday football picks for the Prize Pick segment here. We were just watching the end of that Cowboys-Lions game before we started recording here, and I feel like the Bills-Bengals game on Sunday might be similar, So I'm going to say give me Josh Allen to have more than 237.5 passing yards in that game, and Joe Burrow to have more than 249.5 passing yards in that game. I feel like it's going to be 250 plus for both of those this week. So take a peek this weekend and put together a Prize Pick lineup for yourself this Sunday. There's only a few Sundays left of the NFL season. If you do not yet have a Prize Picks account and you want to play on Sunday, or you want to check it out for the NBA Wolves games, all you have to do is put in the promo code Dane when you create your account, and you'll receive $50 in free lineups when you place your first $5 lineup. That's all we're saying, dude. $5 lineup we don't want it to be anything crazy there. It's just something fun to do. That's prizepicks.com or the Prize Picks app using promo code Dane when you create your account. All right, Chris, let's do Julius, because when we were here 48 hours ago, we were sitting down talking about frankly, a moody Julius Randle. He immediately left the floor after the game on Tuesday and kind of was back in the locker room in 10 seconds. And then when we talked to him in the locker room, or just kind of observed how he was with his teammates in the locker room, he was not feeling it, after that game. And I was curious going into this game, what was Julius specifically going to look like? And in the first quarter, he had 10 points, and it was the first time in a while that he looked kind of like the Julius Randle of the beginning of the season, that place that the Wolves can go for water, whenever they need that. And while Ant has, prior to tonight, has been on this crazy, like averaging 40 points a game sort of stretch, I think tonight reminded us that this team does need the 1B, too. And I mean, if you need 1B against this Pelicans team, you're going to need it against a lot of better teams. So I think we and they should not forget about how Julius Randle started this season, and not let that slip away. Don't let him get off of that track. Keep him not only scoring, but keep him mentally engaged. I think that's an important part of Julius too. Just frankly happy,
Yeah.
And I think we saw the production shift in this game, and the vibe some too. I think probably he's figuring some stuff out still, what exactly his role, his involvement is, but 28, 9, and 3 in this game, probably could have had more assists than that. I mean, not just because his teammates were missing shots. I thought he was moving the ball well, but it's a long way to say I thought it was a really good Julius Randle game, and I think that's important.
Yeah, you saw the energy definitely pick up from the start. He seemed to make I think, concerted effort to bring a better energy this evening, and the start that he got off to certainly helps with that. He was aggressive. He wasn't passive. I think it's very interesting to see kind of the dynamic of Julius when it comes to scoring versus being the point forward version of kind of what they found last year, right? Scoring was the way that he got into this game tonight. Scoring was the way he got back on track after a tough Tuesday. But we know that the best version of this is maybe a little more distributive. Now, the way the Pelicans were playing Ant played into that tonight, where it was basically like, okay,
no, but it's still a good point.
They're going to double Ant, so Julius, go to work. and then Ant gets in foul trouble. So in the third quarter, it was Julius go to work because Ant's on the bench now. So I do wonder, to your point, the start I think was fueled in part because Ant was out. So now that Ant is putting up high 30s, low 40s, the one of the tangential effects of that is what does that do to Julius, right? If Ant is taking that, if Ant had 30 shots on Tuesday night and he had 6 tonight, right? Crazy. So yeah, but when Ant's shooting 25 to 30 shots a night, where does that leave Julius? Can Julius stay engaged on a regular basis? Can you get the best version of Julius in those Ant clusters, I guess, if you want to use that word for it? Yeah, like, do you sense that not that they can't coexist, but I think it's a trickier line to walk sometimes when Ant has those kind of nights to keep Julius where you need Julius to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and my question would be, whose responsibility is that? To make that happen? I'm asking. I don't know. Like, is that on Julius to assert himself? Is that on Finch
to call stuff
for him? Is it on his teammates to recognize that, hey, we need to play through Julius more here because of those?
But if Ant's got it going, then no.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Like, yeah. You know what I mean? I'm talking about not on a night like tonight. It was very obvious this was not an Ant night. Julius takes over, has a great night. When Ant has it going, as we've seen this season, how regularly can you have the both of them having these kind of nights? That's the big question going forward. And as we've talked about, the offense as a whole is doing great. Like, the numbers are great. They're getting good looks. Ant's helping generate good looks. Julius is helping generate good looks. Jaden's offense is taking a step up. All these things. Nas is back on track seemingly after a slow start to the season. All these things are arrow pointing up. But Tuesday night was kind of just a little concerning
for sure
from that perspective. And
okay, so I'll take another stab at this. I think it might be a spot in the Ant cluster games, or the volume where he's scoring 30, 40 plus and doing so efficiently, that probably is a spot where Julius needs to do some of the stuff that Nas was talking about earlier in the season when he was struggling a little bit, like, which I'm sure is a little foreign to Julius, right? He's been a primary offensive guy. He's a scorer. That's what he's always done. But can Julius take that upon himself in those times? Because when Ant's going, right? Be like, okay, this is going to be my window here where I make sure they don't get any second chances. This is going to be my window here where I'm really chasing the guy that I'm guarding. I think, and I think this inverts to Ant too, of there's these times where Julius is going as well, and they're playing through Julius in the post, or they're clearing out from him there. In those times too, I think if you're Ant, you got to turn that up. Okay, I got a little bit more gas in the tank for these next 4 minutes if we're playing through Julius. I'm going to really engage at the point of attack defensively. I think when we talk about those two guys playing off of each other, it's not in the sense of like, pass to you, pass back to me. No, you go do it. It's an awareness of how the other is playing and fitting in around that. And theoretically, with more and more time, they figure that out more and more. But to your point, it doesn't seem like they've exactly figured how to balance that all out. And while Julius was incredible at the beginning of the season, that's when Ant wasn't playing in games too, So I think there's something to this is all I'm saying.
And something to it as well. I mean, we talk about this team being kind of ISO heavy because of Ant and Julius's play style. So it can feel at times like a little bit your turn, my turn. That's not to say it's hurting the offense overall. It is not, because the ISOs help generate good looks, not just for themselves, but also others, because they're both really good in isolation. And Julius, especially really good at creating out of it. So, but it does lead to some, maybe one of them not completely in rhythm if the other one is. I don't know. I'm probably just grasping at straws.
No. Okay, so this is what I was just thinking about when we were talking. Remember how Ant and Cat never really developed a super dynamic or super voluminous 2-man game?
Yeah.
That I mean, not that they never played off, but it wasn't like Stockton and Malone, 2-man pick and roll, pick and pop and theoretically those skill sets matched up pretty well with Ant and Cat in that spot. And that was always sort of a critique I had of that pairing. And I think just in play style, Cat is more of a pick and roll player,
right?
Big than Julius is. Yeah. But from a popping point, there's still, I could see those guys getting a better chemistry and finding Julius on the roll. I mean, Julius on the roll would be a force. How often does that happen? We've started to see it with Conley a little bit. I think that'd be really dynamic if they could get some of what Conley and Randle have developed together. I would say over like the last 3-4 weeks, if Ant and him could have some of that too. Now I do wonder. So I'm just picturing this in my head. Is that something that needs to happen more so in the non-Rudy minutes, right? Rudy is the screener,
right?
When they're out,
and I think it does, yeah.
And he's under the basket, he's in the dunker spot, Okay, cool. Julius
and to your Cat point, I would say that Rudy's arrival also maybe stunted some of that as well. You think of the year that they had non-Rudy,
sure,
they had some good chemistry. The year before Rudy got here. Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, developing a 2-man game with them seems like on paper it would be the right thing to do, but with Rudy's presence, just complicates things because where are you going to put Rudy? Like where right. What does Rudy do?
You mean corner 3-point shooter, Rudy Gobert?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, are you putting Rudy over in the corner?
Yeah.
Those situations, or so
a big piece of that too is. Finch doesn't want to play that way that much. He wants them to play against shifted defenses, isolate if necessary, and attack, drive, and kick. A drive and kick style of offense doesn't have a lot of 2-man game.
Right.
I mean, all things have some 2-man game, but it's not like a heavy sort of like spread pick and roll type deal that a team with more structure would have. But I think what we're just dancing around here right now is there's still something to be found in the Edwards-Randle pairing. Not that it's been terrible, but once we start thinking about ceiling, we talk about, maybe this team having a really, really good month in like January or February.
Yep.
It feels like a prerequisite to that will be an even more powerful pairing between the team's 2 best guys. Right now, what they're doing a really good job of is picking each other up when one is down, as Ant was tonight.
This is true. This is you're just kind of going over the box scores here. Julius's box scores. So his 28 points tonight. Ant made his return from his injury on, I believe it was November 5th against the Knicks, if I'm not mistaken, right? Game. Julius had 32 that night. Julius had
Ant didn't do anything that
Ant didn't do anything that game as he was coming back from the injury. Julius, this was his second highest output since that night. He had 32 against the Wizards on November 19th. This was his second highest scoring night since Ant has returned from injury. And before that, he had 30, 33, 31, 26, 32 the night Ant came back. So he has taken a hit. Like you see a lot of teams. Oklahoma City 10 points, 16 against Boston, 17 against the Kings, 12 against the Mavericks. So some of that you got to keep Julius, I think, a little more engaged, or at least.
And I'll put some of it on Ant
scoring
too.
Department.
I think some of that is Ant and Finch too. If you're seeing, if it's the first quarter, it's the second quarter, and a game, you can feel it, man. You can feel when it's going to be a 12-point Julius Randle game. You can feel it early, and I think that then becomes incumbent upon Ant and Finch to put Randle in positions to have it not be that type of game. I think there is more room there because, yeah, I don't want Julius Randle's only 28-point games to be on the nights where Ant takes
6 shots.
6 shots.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think about Ant's performance tonight?
Weirdest Ant game of the year, maybe?
Yeah.
Close to it.
I mean,
Um,
that's a word.
I mean, it was just foul trouble was the big thing, obviously, taking him out of the
Kinda.
third
I mean,
quarter and almost taking
quarter.
him out in the first half if they hadn't challenged one of the fouls.
Yeah.
He just watching as they doubled him at times tonight, even whether it was the fourth quarter or early, doubling him in the backcourt, he didn't even bother to run up the floor. Like in the fourth quarter, he would get doubled in the backcourt, he would pass, and then he would just kind of stay in the backcourt on some possessions. And they were getting good looks down the other end. Don't get it twisted. It wasn't like it was hurting the offense overall. But I did notice a couple times he would just pass it, and then he really just wasn't going back to the other end of the floor.
Which wasn't what happened when he scored 44 points
Mm-hmm.
in the previous game.
It felt very much like, oh, these guys got it. They got it. I'll stay back here and save my energy for defense. That's what it felt like to me.
Which again, I think brings up the fatigue thing. That game, he was incredible on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of residual impact did it have tonight that Ant played the final 36 minutes of the game on Tuesday? Like, next time Ant has a big game like that or plays for 2 straight quarters, I'm going to be like, well, the next game.
Let's see what happens the next game.
Yeah. I can't even necessarily bag on him for that. That just might be the opportunity cost of getting that 44-point game. Because it wasn't on Tuesday. It wasn't just that they were doubling him. It was that
I just noticed that. Yeah, 8 turnovers.
He had 8 turnovers.
Yeah.
It was not a good Ant game. And what always makes it not a good Ant game is energy. If the energy isn't there, I'm not putting that on him. Obviously, the energy wasn't there, but we have a direct corollary of 48 hours ago. He exerted a ton of energy. He was double teamed all the time. He was pressed all the time. We talked to him after the game, and he was like, "I'm tired right now."
After the game Tuesday.
On Tuesday,
yeah.
So, I think today.
But as Finch pointed out, though, he led the team in plus minus tonight.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all bad. He had 3 blocks. That was interesting. I didn't clock that. That's pretty high for him.
I don't care that he led the team in plus minus.
Not tonight.
No, I think that's just a one-off line there.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you're right. I think
that plus minus is not representative of the game that Anthony Edwards played.
40 plus minutes the other night on a night when it shouldn't have come to that.
Yeah.
And that's
he picked them up. He picked them
up, and that's a credit to him and the player that he's become and the All NBA player that he is and what he can bring to this team on a nightly basis. But looking at that, it's like, okay, the rest of the team, you got to bring it, because you don't want your star player to be having to exert himself that much to get a win in early December. You want him to save some stuff in the tank for April and May.
Right.
And so if there's one thing that maybe you can take away from this as a team, or something that Finch or whoever can harp on, it's like, if you guys go out and take care of business, y'all are going to be fresher throughout the course of the season. If you end these games after the third quarter, you can conserve minutes, you can conserve energy, and everybody will be better off in the long run. Absolutely. You will have more in the tank come April and May to take on Oklahoma City or Denver or whoever when the time comes, instead of having to keep reaching down into your reserves to pull out the energy that you may need to win a series against those guys.
Absolutely. I mean, the reason as a player you wouldn't put as much effort in a game at the beginning is you don't feel that the game requires it, right? As this Pelicans team didn't really, the game previously, right? And they kind of approached it casually. And then because of that, they had to play so hard in the second half. So their initial goal of saving energy in that game falls
counterintuitive.
It's counterintuitive. Whereas if they just would literally, if they just would have started either of these games full blast, they're very likely up 12, 14, 16, end of the first quarter, midway through the second quarter, something like that. And then in the second half, then Finch is going to give you the time off once they're up by 26. I mean, this team wants to give these younger guys, more run and more opportunity. But that would be the nit that I would pick with these two games here is you could have saved yourself some energy by taking care of business earlier in the game. And instead, I think this team's going home a little bit tired.
A little more tired, yeah.
Today's show is brought to you by Harry's. Very excited to have Harry's on board with us for the holiday season because these are the razors I actually use and have used for years. I remember shopping for razors used to be the worst. Not only were they too expensive, but it was also a process to go to the store and buy the razors. And they never seemed to last, which led to a dull razor, which led to razor burn. My first reaction when using Harry's was, oh, okay, this is what shaving is supposed to feel like. With Harry's Plus, you get a barbershop quality shave with German engineered blades. Each blade is honed at 3 different angles to cut hair cleanly at the root without tugging. And I think the best part of Harry's might be how affordable it is. Harry's owns their own world-class blade factory in Germany, so there's no outsourcing, no middlemen. Why pay $30 for refills when Harry's gives you better blades for a fraction of the cost? For a limited time, our listeners can get the Harry's Plus trial set for only $10 at harrys.com/DaneMoore. The set includes the all-new Harry's Plus razor, 1 refined 5-blade cartridge, a 2-ounce foaming shave gel, and a travel cover to protect your blades on the go. Just head to harrys.com/DaneMoore to claim this offer. And after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. So please support our show and tell them we sent you. Today's show is also brought to you by Storyworth Memoirs. They're back this week, and we're excited to have Storyworth back as a holiday season gift option for your parents or loved ones. I think if you're around my age, this is a great gift to give your parents. The idea behind Storyworth is uncovering stories you didn't know about your loved one. So how this works is each week Storyworth emails a loved one a memory-provoking question that you get to choose. Questions like, what are your favorite toys as a child? What are you most proud of? And all your loved one needs to do is respond to that email with a story. Then after a year, Storyworth compiles your loved one's stories and photos into a beautiful keepsake hardcover book. Photos are printed in color, and it will be a treasure your loved one and you will be able to share and revisit for generations. Customers love Storyworth. They've printed over 1 million books and preserved 35 million family stories since their founding 13 years ago. They also have over 48,000 5-star reviews on Trustpilot. I am going to use Storyworth this holiday season. I think you should too. Give your loved ones a unique keepsake you'll all cherish for years. Storyworth Memoirs. Right now, save $10 or more during their holiday sale when you go to storyworth.com/DaneMoore. That's storyworth.com/DaneMoore to save $10 or more on your order.
I do want to, before we wrap up, talk about the young guys a little bit because we did get to see a little bit more. We got 15 minutes of Jalen Clark.
I see more Jalen Clark tonight. Yeah.
Dillingham did come in right away when Ant picked up his fourth foul early in the third. I thought we were going to end up getting more than 8 minutes of him. I thought that maybe meant okay, this maybe is a 17-minute game for Rob Dillingham. Yeah. He can guard Alvarado, whatever,
Right.
I also asked Finch about the young guys playing after the game, and he said he liked what he saw from Jalen Clark, and TJ gave him a spark, and he didn't bring up Rob, at all. To my eye, I don't think that was a worse than normal Rob.
I don't
game,
think so. It
right?
felt like a very what we've kind of come to expect to be a very normal Rob game at this point.
Yeah. So I don't know if there was anything to that there. Also in Finch's answer, he goes, "We're committed to giving these guys minutes. We're committing to giving these guys
it's just
some
tough.
opportunity."
It's just tough to do it on 8 and 9 minutes, though. It's tough to really develop.
Right.
what is the line, right? I don't know. Like
I don't think this is the line,
this,
man.
yeah,
In a
yeah.
game that Anthony Edwards is in foul trouble,
Mhm.
why did neither Terrence Shannon Jr. or Rob Dillingham play 10 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, because in the fourth quarter,
nobody
in
played.
part, right, nobody else played, right? So that's part of the answer is they found a unit that went on a 17-2 run in the first 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, and they stuck with it to the finish line. That's part of the answer because again, they have to win games. This is the team that is focused on winning games now. It is not a team that is focused on giving its younger players 20 minutes come hell or high water,
No.
right? Their minutes fluctuate based on their performance and what the team needs on a nightly basis to win. This is not a team that is in a developmental stage
Right.
for younger players. It is a team that is trying to win games and make deep playoff runs. And it is just a tough spot for somebody like, especially, and I keep bringing this up, especially like Rob Dillingham, who plays point guard in the NBA. It's just different. Like Jalen Clark and Terrence Shannon Jr., when they check into a game, they know what they're doing. They
Right.
know what their role is, and they have kind of a certain skill set role. It's very defined, right? With Rob as the point guard and as somebody who's got a lot on his plate when he checks into a game, there's room for making mistakes, and this team can't afford too many mistakes. And we're all aware of the size and the defensive issues that may arise with that. So it's just not lending itself to enough runway, I feel like, for him to truly develop into the best version of himself at the NBA level right now. And it's just because of it's in part because of where they are as a franchise right now.
Right.
And on nights like tonight and Tuesday, when they can't take care of business right away, when they can't get up 15 to 20 points by the second quarter or by halftime, then they can't play Rob Dillingham 15 to 20 minutes, and they have to play Ant 40 plus minutes, or they have to play Nas 32 tonight, Julius 36, Jaden 35, right? You know, the minutes pie becomes a lot less for numbers 8, 9, and 10 in the rotation.
If you were Rob Dillingham and the two options were you get these 8 or 9 minutes every night, or we're going to go to a 9-man rotation, and some games you'll play for 15 minutes, but you won't play every game. You know what I'm saying? Like, so kind of picking one of the two between TJ and Rob, and then they get to play 15 minutes that night that they are in and on, while the other does 0. What would you rather? Would you rather?
I would rather him play every night.
Okay.
I would rather him play every night. I think the consistency of playing every night is also important.
Do you think Rob would? I mean, I have no idea.
I don't know. I thought one of the solutions to this issue might be twofold, and I mentioned this on the pod earlier in the season. Like, if you're also trying to preserve Mike for the long run, like just telling Mike and coming up with like a rest schedule for Mike, right? I thought like taking Mike on, having him take off back-to-backs or a game on a back-to-back was one easy way that you could give Rob Dillingham more run on however many back-to-backs they play, or 13, 14 back-to-backs, whatever it is, right? To me, that's one easy way of accomplishing two things: keeping Mike fresh and giving Rob a little more runway. But again, this team is trying to win as many games as possible, and Mike doesn't want to sit out. He's very much a competitor, and he has earned that right in his career to say, I don't want to rest. I want to keep playing. And Mike is very much a rhythm player too. He wants to keep playing. He doesn't want to break his rhythm. He wants to find a rhythm and keep it. So it's a tough situation.
What this behavior says to me is Finch is very scared to play either of them for 15 plus minutes in any game. I mean, I don't know what else, how you couldn't read it that way. Like, I'm almost at the point where if like Mike did get the night off on Saturday, I'm not sure Rob Dillingham would play 15 minutes.
You're not wrong. Maybe it's Jalen Clark that plays more minutes.
Yeah,
or
maybe Jalen
TJ
Clark plays
gets more
22
run.
or that,
yeah.
you know?
Maybe TJ gets more run. Yeah, absolutely.
It-
Just because you rest a point guard doesn't necessarily mean that another point guard is going to get the
Right.
minutes. Yeah.
And I'm not a coach. I don't know what I'm talking about, but this just doesn't feel right to me. That's my personal opinion on it. And this is, I mean, how many games have we been doing this 10-man since Ant got back, right?
yeah.
They've all been playing.
And TJ got back too.
And since TJ got
Yes,
back. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
a TJ, maybe like 5 games, 6 games.
Yeah, about that.
So yeah, we've been doing this 10-man rotation, and how many good games have there been from any of the? I mean, TJ had 1 good game against Oklahoma City. In that time, Rob hasn't had any good game.
And even Jalen's games haven't
Right.
been quite what they were when TJ was out and Jalen was getting more run. Jalen had a probably his best game tonight since TJ got back on the rotation.
Yeah.
So it's but again, but also listen, these guys are essentially all second-year players. Jalen's been in the league for 3 years technically, but they're all in their second year of playing. And it's the inconsistencies of being young in the NBA and being on a team that has playoff aspirations. And
I just think it's weird how few good
Yeah.
games Rob Dillingham and Terrence Shannon Jr. have had thus far in their career.
yeah,
And I don't say that to be indictments of their talent. I think
Mhm.
I think by accident, like those guys should have had a couple of 20-point games thus far.
Mhm.
It's been 100 games, man. I mean, they've been they've been in 104 games. They've been in the NBA for, right? Like, what? I don't know. I don't know. Again, I don't know what the right answer is, but this is, I've been saying for like the last 4 or 5 pods that this thing is rubbing me the wrong way. It's not. I don't get it, and it feels. Yeah, I don't know. There's something like political to it, or something. I don't
I don't know if it's political. I literally just think they're trying to win games, and they're playing the best people.
How are you trying? I mean,
heaviest minutes, trying to win games. That to me is literally what it is.
okay.
I don't think it's political.
I mean,
Mhm.
if they were playing a playoff game tomorrow, you think TJ or Rob would play a minute?
I think
No
I think
way.
TJ would. I think TJ would get a shift,
Yeah.
and if it didn't go well, he would be at like 4 or 5 minutes, and it would be over. I think Jalen Clark has a role on a playoff series, and that would fluctuate
Mhm.
based on how he does. I think TJ would get. I think TJ would get some run and see how it goes for a shift, and if he doesn't have it, then he probably doesn't play in the second half, right? And it's a short shift,
Okay.
right? I don't think Rob would have a role in a playoff series.
Well, you
as a
get what I'm pushing back on.
I
If they're
do,
trying to
I
win
do,
games.
yes,
Like
yeah.
that's the ultimate trying to win games. So
Yeah.
maybe that's trying to win regular season games versus playoff games.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
Looking at Rob Dillingham 8 minutes and 11 seconds right now, that doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how much it's helping him.
Yeah.
Long term. Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, I guess we'll keep tracking it on those young guys and
We make it sound very doom and gloom right now. This is but the team.
No, it's just
4
this
games
piece.
in a row.
It's
I
just
know
this piece.
that-
We talked
Yeah.
about Randle was great.
Yeah,
Ant
yeah.
was incredible. The other one, I mean, we started the game. They were watching football in the locker room. It was good.
Everybody's
This is
happy.
just a thing that
Yeah.
not making sense to me right now. And I don't know. I would like to be in the coaches meeting and know what the conversation about this thing is. Because it's been 5 or 6 games and it's this. It's not doom or gloom. It's just what is the strategy here? I don't understand the strategy. That kind of put it that way.
Sure.
Is that fair to say?
Sure.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah.
understand what the strategy is with Jalen Clark, Terrence Shannon Jr. and Rob Dillingham, and I'm on the spot throwing out different ideas, questions, stuff like that. This is just, like you said, I don't think it's helping. I just don't think that
Right.
this
That
whatever
I,
the
that
strategy
I
is.
agree with. Yeah, that I agree with. I don't think they're necessarily getting. We don't see tangible signs of these guys getting better.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. But they leave New Orleans. They win both of these games. What's the record now? 14-8.
14-8, 15-8. What is it? I don't know.
Yeah, 14-8. It was 13-8 before tonight. I mean, this team is this team's in a good spot. They get the Clippers on Saturday back home, and
Phoenix on Monday, and I don't think Booker's expected to play Monday. I think he's supposed to be out for a week, so I think he's out.
another gift.
I think.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on
Actually,
that.
that might not be a gift, man. Booker. Man, remember how bad Booker was?
Yes, yeah, that's very true.
Against the Jaden and in that other game.
That is very true. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. You're right. I don't want to leave it at a doom and gloom. No, because we came here. They won both of these games.
Yeah.
And we got Julius Randle back on track here. Ant had a massive game in the first game. I think Nas has continued to be playing well here.
Mhm.
Rudy doesn't seem to be mad at all about this new lineup that they're going to. I actually think in the minutes that Rudy has been playing, it was kind of dominant here.
He helped them. I thought each night set a decent tone.
Mhm.
Like they found him early in each of these games and got out to at least a bit of an early lead with that. So I don't think he was wasn't a negative.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. Yeah. So I mean,
We're gonna look back at these two games as it was a goofy
I
trip.
don't think we're gonna even remember them that much.
No, but I think
Come March.
well that's for sure true. But it was a funny trip. It was a funny trip. It was no Zion. The team doubled and pressed and all that. It was.
I tweeted this earlier. I feel like every time I come to New Orleans, these games always play out like this. It's like the games are closer than they should be because the Pelicans are usually bad. The games are closer than they should be, and the Wolves always find a way to win by 10-ish points. That's every trip I think I've ever taken in New Orleans with the Anthony Edwards era.
Yeah.
It's always like this. It's always closer than you think, and then they always find a way to pull it out somehow, some way.
They did, and that's a big thing to actually leave here with is we're not doing it was a meltdown game.
Or
That didn't happen.
This trip,
The meltdowns didn't happen. In fact, the Pelicans kind of melted down the first game. And the Wolves survived both of these games. They're getting back. Part of getting through the NBA season is surviving these weird dip games and trips, right? I do have a greater appreciation for that of like you do got to spend a week in New Orleans. You got to take care of business twice. And that's a lot easier to do on 2K, than it is out there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes, it is. It is.
So they did take care of business.
And I think it's important to add the context to that. This team doesn't have the benefit of the doubt when it comes to playing against this level of opponent because they've shot themselves in the foot so many times over the years. And this year's team doesn't really have the high wins of like say last year's team, right? Like we haven't really seen it consistently.
They beat Denver like twice at the beginning of last year.
They did, and then they ended up beating them 4 times throughout the course of the season. And they had good records against good teams, generally speaking.
That's a good point.
And
they haven't had that.
They haven't had that this year to where it's like we don't know quite who they are still. It's like 14-8. They've generally taken care of business against the bad teams. Generally speaking, stacked up the wins there. So that's a good thing. But
it has me excited for the gauntlet.
Sure.
When the schedule, I'm excited for
and if they're truly bored against these teams,
right.
When the competition does pick up, hopefully they find that other gear eventually that they have to find.
By then we're going to no longer be doing that. I don't know what this team is exactly. Once they go through 5, 8, 10 games like that, we'll have a better idea. But maybe that's where we'll remember this trip.
But here's the thing: too. Think about the Western Conference. So, is there ever going to be a gauntlet like that on their schedule? I mean, I just based on how the
Not
West
gauntlet,
is,
but just like tougher than this.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but it's got to get more difficult than this, right? I thought the West was good.
It does.
That's what I'm saying.
It totally does. But the West is kind of it's like half good and half not,
right?
Kind of like
I don't know, man. There's just been a lot of Brooklyn, Washington, these
Yeah.
two Pelicans
Yeah.
games. You know, I mean, their 2 wins against above 500 teams are the Celtics and the Spurs. You know, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Thus far. So, I guess that's the place to leave it. We're
Yep.
still figuring out this team.
Yep.
We're still figuring out this team. I think they're figuring out themselves. But very good to be figuring out yourself and be 14 and 8
and 8
and top 10 on both sides of the ball, or
Yeah.
pretty close to it.
Mhm.
I do really appreciate you doing these pods with me after
Yeah,
these
no
games,
problem. Thank you.
on the road.
Mhm.
These are a very different type of thing to just sit down and immediately
Mhm.
do them
I
afterwards.
feel like
in a
it's
weird
much
room.
it's much more raw and
Super.
like it's especially some of our I think you get more unfiltered thoughts this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, you guys can read Chris. He'll have his story in the strib tomorrow, and you know he's always churning out stuff. So just make sure you have that subscription and be checking that out. You know, there isn't a podcast every single morning to listen to, and if you're looking for quotes, you're looking for what the vibe was in the locker room,
Or just different stories throughout
Yeah.
the week. You know,
Mhm.
I hope to have one on Johan Berenger.
I wasn't going to spoil it, but
We'll tease it a little bit. A
There you
little Johan Berenger story, I think, running this weekend.
there's
but
a
look out for
hilarious
that.
quote. Chris told me
Some fun quotes in there about Johan learning English. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And but I have a book out about Anthony Edwards. Perfect holiday gift.
There you go.
Go buy it. Go buy 3. Go buy 4.
Right. Seriously, if you're listening to this, like that is actually a really good, a really good Christmas present or holiday present to get somebody. But yes, thank you. Good plug. Appreciate, as always, having you do these pods with me on the road or in the studio, and we'll get back in studio next week or something like that, and be more filtered.
Yes.
All right. I do obviously haven't been able to like cut up clips and stuff like that, but I've gathered a handful of interesting clips and kind of weird side nugget sort of things I asked Finch and some of the players in my time here. So tomorrow, when Kyle and I record, we're going to kind of do one of our like bigger picture episodes and go back and highlight a couple of those things. So that'll be next up on the pod. That'll come out sometime on Friday afternoon. But yeah, until then, with Kyle, he's Chris, I'm Dane. Peace out.
How I'm feeling, man, I hope it never stop, yeah. Green and hot so you can find me in the crowd, yeah. Don't let standards ever bring you down, yeah. Hope you